Hey, welcome back everyone to the post-match with myself, Jared and Lawrence. We'll just get right into it then, I think. Lads, what did you make of that second half? Jared, we'll go to you first.
I think we saw a lot of what we were asking for at half-time and also pre-game. So I mentioned at half-time I wanted a bit more physicality, especially up front. So once Jack and Macus come on, Ralston, and then Jens come on as well, it made it a little bit tougher there and for them and everything. Made my comment at half-time about Cantwell be the only one of their guys who get a crack in our team or a chance. I retract that statement. It was just to see, like, it was a preseason game, so that's like you want to be seeing improvement from what we saw in the earlier preseason games to now, and yeah, I'm happy with that. Like Jens can play a pass, Moy needs to actually be a bit tidier with some of his passes, and but that'll come, and off we go.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that about Cantwell because I was thinking the exact same as I was watching that. He was the one player I'd said before the game I was kind of looking forward to seeing. We both spoke about him a bit at half time, and I don't know, he just he definitely didn't look as though he was the £11 million player that he was supposed to be when I think he went to Bournemouth on loan last season. They had an option to buy him for 11, which they refused. You can kind of see why they didn't take it up now. It was not a vintage performance. Lawrence, what about you? Did you make it the second half?
Listen, it wasn't, what is it Mr. Hargett says, the rip roaring, never boring, free scoring Glasgow Celtic. It certainly wasn't that. And Jared's touched on it. We've got a couple of things we wanted to see. We wanted to see Moy get 15 minutes. We wanted to see maybe Ralston come on. We were wondering where Moy was going to play and how it would affect McCarthy. What we didn't get was Kyogo and Giacomakis playing up front, but we get two number sixes on with a wee eye to Europe just to see how that would work. I thought was what good the first half as Stephen Welsh had. I think Jens has put in a claim for a place against Aberdeen on that, time they had on the park there. I thought Jens, you can play a pass. I think first chance you let a boy get in front of him, but after that it looked tidy enough. I don't know why the boy didn't score. They get it didn't look like Jens had got anything on it. Turnbull looked really good when he came on. Didn't go well. Abada looked sharp, unlucky with that when he tried to curl in. At the end, I think he should probably have left that one to Moy. I think Moy coming onto the ball would have a better chance of putting it away. Ralston, I think, showed a lot more drive and desire than Juranovic did. But, it's 2-0. It's not a 5-1 I wanted. But it's pre-season. We didn't get anyone injured. And I think that centre-half looks like they've got a player.
Yeah. You'll be disappointed, Lawrence. You didn't get your 3-0 at half-time and you didn't get your 5-1 at full-time. So what's going on there?
Mate, it's just what pre-season predictions don't count for much.
Good thing you went on the punt, Lawrence.
Indeed.
Excuse me. So I thought that was an interesting point that you made about Moy and McCarthy both being on at the same time and having the two number sixes. So we maybe didn't get to see the forward pairing that we wanted. Giacomakis, Kyogo, see what kind of issues they could have caused today. But it's an interesting point, I think, that Moy and McCarthy both been on two number sixes. Do you think that is something that Angel looked to do more of in the bigger games and in the Champions League this season? Play those two, maybe move McCarthy up one, because you can't ever see that McCarthy would be out of the team unless he's injured.
Yeah, I can see him bringing that in. If it's to close games out. Jared will know more of Andy's style in the past if it's something he's been able to do. The thing was both all three, Moy, McCarthy, McGregor can play either number 6 or can play further forward. So it keeps the team fairly fluid with those on, but it certainly have the two on at the same time. We looked at, we'd look more solid in games, but most impressive out of the midfield, probably Rio today, I think. So I think it's Calm and Rio. And is anyone else? Turnbull looked okay. Probably shades of Riley. Yeah, I think it's Calm and Rio and probably Turnbull for next week. Midfield. But it was good to see the two number 6s. I've not watched that. I've watched a season of Ange on YouTube clips of his teams, but Jared has got an encyclopedic knowledge of his teams and will be able to tell us about this 2 number 6 in Ange.
So when he took over at Melbourne Victory over here in the A-League, he played a 4-2-2-2 system. So he had
that's a John Barnes system, mate. You're giving me a nightmare.
No. But the way he did it, and it was really odd, was he played the 2 6s, and then he had 2 false 9s, so playing as a left, just either side of the box like that, and then he had wingers. So it was 4 forward, and it was 4 back, and it was just 2 midfielders. It was really odd the way it worked, but the 6s were hitting diagonal balls to the wingers, who were then playing the strikers in because they were offside most of the time on the diagonal ball, and it worked. So that's a way of unlocking things in Europe when he wants to sit back in counter-attack. So maybe he was working on that. It's the only thing that looked similar about it today.
Yeah, it's an interesting setup. It's probably one he could use with us because we've got good wide players. We've got speed in the wings. Maeda, Abada, who I thought was excellent when he came on today. Abada offered quite a lot. I was trying to think, kind of looking forward to the game at the weekend against Aberdeen and what the starting team would be, and just how today's subs might impact on that. Because I thought actually on the right hand side, your combination of Ralston and Abada in the second half worked better than Juranovic and Jota. But who do you take out to accommodate them? Because you're not going to take Jota out of the team. Do you switch in to the left? But then Maeda, I thought, actually had a pretty decent game there as well. So I think there's a lot of questions that kind of this game's thrown up. I'm not sure what you guys thought about the subs coming on and if any of them have maybe played their way into the thinking of a starting 11 for next week.
Yeah, I think Stephen Welsh might not start next week. So I think that'd be a change out of back 4.
I agree with that 100% as well, Lawrence. For me, we just looked more settled defensively when we had Carter Vickers and Jens on together.
Yeah, and he showed some decent passing. He's a bit taller. Centre halves aren't tallest, I think. Carter Vickers, Starfelt was 6 foot. Is Welsh just under 6 foot? Not too sure, but yeah, it definitely looked a bit more solid, didn't it? Juranovic, not his best day at the office. Tony gives a bit more drive. No, but I'd probably still go with Juranovic at right back. Left back, I think Taylor kept his place. I don't think Bernabeu showed too much. Wee bit of an naughty late tackle on a boy, but I don't think he showed a lot in that game that Greg Taylor's going to be that worried.
Yeah, that's my first time really watching Bernabeu. I've missed kind of his appearances in the earlier pre-season games. I must admit I wasn't overly impressed by him as such. I think as the game went on, you could see that Norwich were actually targeting the left back area and a lot of their attacks were coming down the right. I think he looks like he could be a very offensive fullback and maybe not the smartest defensively. He's the kind of player that could get caught out with the kind of ball over the top or angled one in behind him. But
he was a winger, wasn't he? He's a converted fullback because he started his career as a winger. So maybe that's shown up. Yeah.
Because he can definitely see that his thoughts are definitely to be getting forward. So, but potentially, and you've mentioned it with Jens, I think he looks a very smart defender. So maybe if he comes in and has that left centre back position, being 2 footed and being able to use his left foot, he'll actually just be able to come and cover that space that's there. And if you've got a Moy or a McCarthy, even McGregor, clever defensive midfield player can also just come in and slot in at centre back. But yeah, I got a few concerns about Bernabeu defensively. Going forward, look pretty decent though.
For me, I'll look at it quickly with Jens before I talk about Bernabeu. There's this comment here which sums it up perfectly for today. His distribution was impressive. I want to see how he deals with high balls into our box. He might be what we've needed to complement CCV. I agree with that 100%. That was spot on with what my thoughts on him was today. But with Bernabeu, what I noticed was when we signed him, the talk was, he's good going forward, but not quite as good defensively. So I look at that and go, okay, so how's that much different from Bolingoli? How's that much different from Christian Gamboa when we had him? We've always had those sort of players because we have a lot of the ball, but still you've got to do the defensive side of the game. And the Bernabeu's problem was he got ragdolled, he got pushed off the ball into the wrong position. So then the guys that should have been outside of him were inside of him when they received the ball. But then he managed to fight back to get back into position again. But you can't do that. If you're doing that in Europe, we're going to be conceding goals, especially in the Champions League. So, yeah, I'm going to give him some time. I'm not going to write him off. But for me, I'm like, he's young. He's coming into a new country, different language, different way of doing things. I'm not going to be one of those people who just writes him off after a couple of weeks because, as we always say on our podcast, if Henrik Larsson debuted now, he'd be written off as well because he didn't hit the ground running. So I'm going to give him a bit of time. We've got options that can cover that position and bring him along. I'll judge him in 6 months' time.
Yeah, I think Jens will become a fixture in that defence before Bernabeu. And listen, you maybe not want to change two at the same time anyway. You'd maybe to come in, get his partnership up with Cam Vickers. He's got Taylor, who's solid enough on the outside of him. Jens been 2 feet. They'll give us a bit more balance, won't it? To a left-footed centre-half that can play with his left foot. It's earth-shattering stuff. But yes, I think Jens has done enough to probably start. I wouldn't be surprised to see him start against Aberdeen. And would be, on that show, be happy enough with him starting against Aberdeen.
Yeah. I think for him, my only concern about him starting against Aberdeen would be if he's match fit to play, because I'm not sure how involved he was with Lorient in their pre-season up till now. But going in that half an hour that he got, he looks like there's a player in there. Definitely, you say he looked. He wasn't really put under much pressure at times, but he was decent enough in the air. He was really composed with the ball on the ground. There's one of the attacks that I've noted down. I think it's the one Abada in 70 minutes. His shot was just off target, but it's all starting from Jens picking the ball up in deep, kind of driving forward, playing that forward pass, and he's doing the things that we've not really had from a centre back for a while, and he just gives that balance of a left footer or someone comfortable with his left foot anyway in the back line. So definitely, and for left back, I've been a big Turnbull fan, a big Taylor fan for long enough. So if Bernabeu can just maybe work in training, getting his defensive aspects up a little bit, got to be more than happy with Taylor in at left back. He's proven himself, I think, to be the first choice in that position going on. And I think to pick up on my little mistake of Taylor and Turnbull with his goal, has he played his way into the team for next week?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, last season he was, until his injury, he played Ange picked him every game he was available, isn't he? So I think we're going to start. We're not going to drop Callum. On Rio's showing Yen dropping Rio, so I think the third boy that starts in midfield next week on that show is Turnbull.
Yeah. And what are we expecting from him this season, Turnbull? In that respect, as you say, he played every game last season until he got injured. Then he found it difficult to get back in the team, although I think he was only back for maybe the last month or so of the season, but he didn't really have a chance to get back in. Do you think he'll be the starter over O'Reilly, or do you think it's kind of those two will rotate in and out?
As we said pre-game, you're going to have a squad of 18 players or something like that who'll, be rotated in and out, and we won't lose anything. So, for me, I said about 2 or 3 weeks before the end of the season, before it was announced, either Turnbull or Rogic wouldn't be at the club this season because I didn't think those two could play together. O'Reilly and Turnbull can play together, so we can rotate them. That's fine. So, I don't know. Like, Turnbull, as you said, he played a lot of football. He was good until he got injured. When he come back, though, he was like taking 2, 3, 4 touches. At that point, we'd moved on to one-touch football. So I still think probably O'Reilly will start next week, but I wouldn't be. But if it is Turnbull, I'm not going to be upset about it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the perfect point. And you see, you did make it at the start. We've got this squad now of players that we can rotate in and out, and there will be players that will come in, come out, and it's not going to lower the quality of the team. Which, if you look back to this point last year, it's night and day, isn't it? I mean, you were sitting there playing Adam Montgomery last year thinking we're going to have to talk him up because he might be the next he might actually have to play a regular run of games in the team. Now, thankfully, we're in a position where actually, if we're taking someone out, it's almost like for like, high quality for high quality coming in.
Yeah, I think we've touched that a few times in games. From your midfield three and your front three, 5 of them, they're going to expect to change during that game. So, yeah, I mean, if Turnbull doesn't start, I'd expect to see him at Corner Park at some time next week. But on today's show, he'll be starting in front of Riley. What we're going to get from David Turnbull? Goals. I think a bit of frustration at times because sometimes I think he sees the right pass and doesn't play it. But, he's still a young player. We need... we need to give him time to develop. Yeah, but yeah, I think big season for Turnbull this season. Obviously, there's rumoured interest from West Ham, so yeah, we're looking for him to step up. But I suppose O'Reilly's got to look at Turnbull's showing today and going, right, I've slipped now. I thought I was maybe going to be starting, but after David comes on and puts one away and has a decent showing, maybe not so sure at the start. I thought Moy looked a wee bit rusty. I know Jared says his distribution was a bit loose at times, wasn't it? And I think he just looked a bit rusty there. But yeah, midfield, it was just interesting to finish with both the number 6. You're thinking Ange just wanted to have a wee look, but I don't say 4-2-2-2. I mean, that is John Barnes, and we can't be doing that.
Gosh, yeah, I remember when that one came out. John Barnes with his 4-2-2-2, and he was telling us it was because, was it Mario Zagallo's Brazil team used to play it? And we were not at that level at that time.
FIFA had something and said that this is the perfect formation, And I think the Brazil team had Roberto Carlos at that time at left back. I can't remember the right back, but I'm pretty sure our full backs were Roberto Carlos levels to go up and down the park. I mean, did he even try Stan at right back at one point? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think he did. I think when he first came in, that's where he was playing him. Young lad from Bulgaria, didn't know the language, getting played out of position, and everyone's wondering why he couldn't settle in.
Yeah, it was 4-2-2-2. Yeah, hopefully we're not seeing it too much in the SPFL. If we're needing 2 number 6s, hopefully that's something we're only going to need in Champions League. But,
yes.
It was an easy enough game, Bit of stroll. Could the players show a wee bit more desire? Some of them. But I thought, Anthony Ralston absolutely showed the desire when he came on. He really drove us on, didn't he?
Yeah, I thought. Sorry, Jared, on you go.
I was going to say, we got some comments to go through if you boys want us to do that, or
keep talking.
Yeah, stick a few on.
There's a good conversations going on there in the comments, so I'm like, we've got to go through them. So Craig M said, if we're going to go wide as often, we should probably start GG.
Yeah, we touched that first half. I didn't think Kyogo was leading the line as well as Giakoumakis can, and I think he caused Norwich more problems than Kyogo had. And, he'll thrive in balls, just knocked into the box. He's a famous one-touch finisher, Giakoumakis, isn't he? Perhaps not today, but, when it matters.
Cosima, the only potential change to starting 11, I would make Ralston in for JJ, but happy with either, really?
Yeah, I'd be happy with Ralston starting ahead of Juranovic next week as well. I thought Juranovic just looked off it a little bit today.
Just the last couple of friendlies, I think the last 3, he hasn't really looked with it. Since the Panic Strava game, he hasn't seemed with it.
No, he's not. His forward play's not been as creative as, he's not had the end product as normal, although I think he did set up the goal today, so that's, you can always fire that one back at me. But other than that, he didn't really do that much defensively. He got caught out, and I thought he was poor in the first half, and Rashika cut inside a couple of times and created a bit of issues. And Ralston's just, for a joke figure a year ago, he's now a really solid, dependable guy that you just think, if you put him in the team, he's not going to do anything flashy, but he's not going to let you down either. And he does have that in his armoury that he can do something every now and again. So I wouldn't be too disappointed if Ralston started. Probably my other change is the one kind of Lawrence has suggested. He'd bring Jens in at centre back if he's fit enough to play. If he can last 60, 70 minutes without any issues, you'd get him in because he looks like he could be a real find.
But we'll go this comment here now. So Ronnie Pickering, Big Jens looks an upgrade on Julian.
Yep.
Then
Ronnie
we've got
Pickering, I think I know who he is.
got a few others here. So Bob J, friendlies and not anything like SPFL, far more physical next week and low block for most of the season. So then we've got AJST Tech. I thought our squad depth helped us win that game today.
But no, he's never really troubled us, does he? I think Hart one decent save.
They save on with his space as well.
Yeah, I thought Hart made a few decent saves actually in that second half. There was the one off his face, and there was another couple. And for all it being a pre-season game and all that, I would say it did still kind of highlight some of our defensive deficiencies, and I thought a lot of them did actually come through Bernabei because he is more of an offensive player. That will come through the season though once everyone gets back up to speed and once all those connections and communications are back up and running within the team. But I thought actually for them not being that great, they did create a couple of chances, but they all came down that one side. So if Taylor's in there, that doesn't happen the same. And you know that come next week, everyone's going to step it up a level anyway, because that's when it all really matters. And Ange just won't let them get away with anything half-assed.
Yep. We got this one from Danny Riley. Turnbull, O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor, pick any three and we'll be fine.
Listen, I think McGregor still starts. That it's the other two positions that are up. But after Rio today,
yep.
I think there's maybe only one position really up for grabs. It's McGregor and Rio now, and yeah, it's one position.
Got two more comments here for you. So, Craig M, we're maybe one or two players away from being a really good team. I think we're already a really good team in our league. Now, are we talking about Europe or are we talking about our league?
Listen, might have been a couple of nights. Gordon Strapp was speaking. He said, 2 last 16 finishes, but Chris Sutton was touching on it last night. Strapp can get 2 last 16 places in the Champions League, and when you look at his defenders, McManus and Colwell, with his centre half pair, I think if the manager gets them drilled well, we can do well. I think we've got a decent team. Some of the players like Bernabeu is going to just take a wee bit of time to bed in. But I'm overly worried. We've got Greg Taylor there who, Bernabeu's got to get the jersey off. First, he's not walking in. Jens definitely looked like a player in that. So a lot more happy at centre half now that you've got Kamaka, Vicker, Starfelt, Jens and Welsh, because I think Julian's time's done. But after that, Sean, we look cover there. Ralston and Juranovic, Tony's just not going to give up, is he? He's just not. So if he starts next week, nobody can play. And going forward, we're pretty decent up front.
Last one of the comments I wanted to bring up, sorry, Kevin, is this one here. Edward Diver, you can see progress from the same time last year, 100%. What are your thoughts on that?
It's at least 100% times, the progress we've made. God, this is because I've been thinking about this for a while and coming on the show and being that this is actually, I'll be completely honest, it's the first of the pre-season games that I've sat down and watched the full 90 minutes of. The rest of them this time I've jumped in and out. I've watched bits of every single game, but I haven't sat down and watched them all because I've been really relaxed about it. Every other pre-season for the last decade or so, we've been preparing for Champions League qualifiers or something like that, and we've been trying to build a team and put something together, and it's been an anxious time. And this time, I've thought, we've got a settled manager, we've got a settled team. He's signed the 2 big players that he wanted straight away. He's added in another couple of players. I still think, I agree with, was it Craig M's comment that we're probably 1 or 2 signings away from being a good European level team. We've got enough to go in and I think win the league again this season domestically. But yeah, the improvement that we've made from this point last year, I've just been so relaxed about the whole summer. which has been quite unsettling, actually, when you think about it, because that's not how it should be as a Celtic fan. It's not what we're used to. But yeah, it's staggering the levels of where we were to where we are now.
There's a thing he's saying, kind of, a couple of players away from being a good team. It's where are we going to strengthen? Have we spent our money? Is it going to be loan players? But because we've got players in early, haven't we? We've got competition for places. And I thought it was really more or less a stroll against Norwich today. Well, we're far away from playing our best. Never thought we're in danger of losing against Norwich, which it's always nice to be in that position. Another clean sheet for the defence. But who would you bring in now? That's the thing. At left back you've got Taylor and Bernabeu. You're not going to bring in another left back. You're not going to bring, Juranovic and Ralston. Not replacing there. So Siegrist is just in a keeper. You're going to change there. So comes in, and you still get, I think, Yeti and Julian in the building throwing big wages.
And that's what I was going to say there, Lawrence. Like for me, yeah, every manager always wants one or two more players. Always. Doesn't matter how much business is done. I'll always want one or two more. But it's who can you get that's affordable? Who can you get that's going to come in and strengthen not just your squad, but your first team? And we also need to move guys out before we can bring them in. Like Julian and a Yeti need to go before we can even look at signing a third striker to develop or another centre-back. Or do we bring Dane Murray up and develop him over the course of the season once he's better back from his injury and just save wages there? Who knows? I really can't see us going out and signing two players until those guys leave.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the case. And even if we do, I think we're going to be looking at loan deals. Because if those boys leave, it's going to be on loan deals, isn't it? So you've still got commitment somewhere to the wages down the line, part of this season, and if the loan doesn't work out when they return. So, Julian, because he's got a year's option left, isn't he? So, yeah, but both of them, I think, best for all parties if they move on, free up some wages for us. And yeah, if we do that, you never know, we might have a Robbie Keane situation, transfer deadline night, gathered outside Celtic Park, waiting for them railing off. I don't know. Maybe.
It's been a few years since we've had that marquee signing on transfer deadline day, so maybe this will be the one. But
there's your marquee one. Just bring in Larson on a free. Screw it.
There'd be a lot of pressure on Jordan. I mean, he certainly knows the Celtic strolled about it enough in days we've won the league in the past. That's it. With his dad just to bring him on the pitch. So, but a lot. Larson name at Celtic. What would they give us? He can play across the front three. He's a goal scorer. I suppose it depends how much wages he'd want, and he's got to have a chat with Ange. What's his chance of getting in the team? Yeah, exactly. And Jakob Marcus there in front of him. So any strike like Hearts I'm talking about, he had to chat with O'Neill. And Larson up front, that's when we played two strikers, saying, how am I going to break that partnership? What's my chance going to be? And O'Neill had to give him the assurance. He's going, look, don't worry, you will get a chance. If you're playing one striker, we've got two fairly decent ones, whoever you're bringing in, you've got to kind of...
It's a hard sell.
Yeah, they've got to say, well, I'm going to get some minutes. And if you're saying that to them, what's Kyogo or Yakamaka saying? Well, wait a minute, boss, what have I been doing wrong that all of a sudden you're bringing somebody in front of me or promising them minutes? But I think it's all kind of ifs and buts and maybes until we get Julian and maybe a Yeti off the wage bill. Then we can maybe look at a couple of loan deals.
So there's a couple of comments I want to bring up. There's one from Michael Ross. He says, Jared, tell your Moyes story. So I told this story on this week's Soak Down Under podcast. So I can tell you if you want to hear it or...
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
So Aaron Moy, St Mirren, came back to Western Sydney Wanderers. Then he signed with Melbourne City. So my older brother's a Melbourne City season ticket holder, and they're playing in the FFA Cup. So like the cup game over here. So I went to this local game against Heidelberg. A couple of minutes into the game, Moy runs over, take the corner right in front of where I, because it's just at the local park sort of thing. As he's running over, I'm just giving it to him. you're rubbish. You couldn't cut it at St Mirren, blah, blah, blah. Just stirred him up a bit like that. He just looks over at me, puts the ball down, goes, puts the cross in, bang, header, goal. Looks at me, blows me a kiss, runs off to celebrate. Very quiet guy, does that. 10 or so minutes later, corner again from in front of us because there's one on the other side, then one in us. I'm going to give him some more. Give him a bit more lip. Puts it down, looks over, grins, puts another cross in, another goal. He just looked over at me, just like giving me a thumbs up, we'll wave, and then ran off to celebrate. Third time he's run over, I looked at him and went, yeah, okay, noted. I said that to him. He just laughed and kept playing. But it's one of those things where, you know, you do that, you give him a bit of trouble, but I like the way that he took it, and then he just like subtle little jab back at you, like blow you a kiss, give you a wave, whatever, and then it's just like, you know, and he was just ignores it. He doesn't say much. He sounds so softly spoken, but then you get him on that, and yeah, boy, can he hit a free kick or a corner. That's all I've got to say. So we've got another guy who can do that. That's what I wanted to. The whole point of the story is he's good over a dead ball from a corner, but yeah, it was just great to give him a bit of lip and see that he's got a bit about him like that. So I apologise to Heidelberg fans for getting their team kicked out of the cup due to his crosses coming in.
So 3rd of September, mate, are you flying over to give him a bit of lip during that game?
Nah, I don't know.
It's his versus Safeco. Fly over, give him a bit of lip, get me to drop the ball in big Jensen's head. Couple of goals. It's got to be worth the airfare.
Yeah, but, you know, it's more than likely looking like February. I'll probably be over that way. So,
happy days, mate.
Good fun. Got one other thing here from Jungle Lion. Name the Sunday team.
Hart, no suggest. No surprise. Taylor, I'm going to stick with Juranovic, although I think, you know, it's a close one. And I would go with Cameron Vickers, Jens, McGregor, Rio, Turnbull, Maeda, Jota, and I would start with Giakoumakis up front.
Okay. Joe Hart. I mean, that's a no-brainer. Back four, based on today, I'd go with Ralston at right back, Carter Vickers, Taylor's left back, and then the other centre back, it's Jens if he's fit to play, as I said, 60, 70 minutes. Otherwise, Welsh. But I think Jens long term. McGregor, Hatate, Turnbull, because he put in a pretty decent shift when he came on, get the goal. And up front, I would have I'd have my favourite trio. Then we'd have Jota, Kyogo, and Giakoumakis. I'd let Jota and Kyogo just do what they want, switch sides, you know, run about, wreak havoc.
Yeah, for me to be, obviously it's hard in goals. Yeah, Taylor. I want Jens in, but I think Ange will go with Welsh and Carter Vickers just because he's been in the door longer. And then I want Ralston at right back, midfield, Kelmack, Hatate, O'Reilly up front. I want Maeda, Giakoumakis, Abada.
Abada's a good shot.
No Jota. No, Abada done brilliant. I mean, right the numbers, but no Jota. The big money signing.
Yeah.
Time will tell.
I'm a massive Abada fan. Sorry, I do not apologise actually for liking Abada's game.
No, you're going to see him at some point next week, aren't you? I mean, that's the thing. We generally change 5 out of the front 6, so he's going to get minutes.
He's the player we didn't talk about today, either before the game at halftime or now. And he was one of our star players last season. We can talk about Ralston being the most improved, but Abada must have been up there as being kind of the young player of the year for us because, and I'm the same with Jared, I love the way he plays the game. I love that he's that direct. The goal that he scored against Rangers in the 3-0 game, that was just summed him up. That run from out to in on the blind side of the defender, he does it so often. And he scored a few big goals for us last season as well, outside of that one. So, you know, he's not a bad shout to have in that team.
But
The
Chris
reason I'm
Sutton
saying
was
it is
talking.
because no, go on, Lawrence.
You see, Chris Sutton was just saying, what a player, what stats, what he gives to the team. I mean, it's funny you mentioned because we've got, I think, £23 million winger going into last year's contract who, had something like 3 assists last year. I mean, you look at that compared to Abada. It's scary, isn't it? But I think he'll get minutes without doubt. But I think we'll start with Jota. But I think Abada will come on. But either way, if you start with Abada, I think Jota's going to come on at some point and replace him. Nobody up top's guaranteed 90 minutes.
The reason I said that 3 was because, okay, we're playing Aberdeen. Their starting left centre-back can't play against us in Liam Scales because he's our player. So straight away, they're going to be a bit weaker in their centre-back pairing. So you put your big target man who's a bit physical in there, and then you have 2 wingers who are really direct, and I'll just go at we'll just attack in as well. What are they going to do? Are the 2 centre-backs going to come to the physical guy, or are they going to have to sag off and cover the runs in behind? That's pick your poison, basically.
We'll see. I think Jota cutting in and running at them, they're not going to like it. Either way, we should have enough. We should have enough to beat Aberdeen, whether it's Abada or Jota, Maeda, whoever's coming in off the wings. We should be. It should terrify them, shouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Nice. So what's now we've had the teams? What's the prediction for next week, and what's the prediction for the season ahead?
Listen,
we do fearless predictions on our podcast, so that's going to be happening this week. But yeah, I'll give my I'm saying Joe Hart's going to score a goal this season. There you go. Yeah, it could be an own goal, but it's still going to score a goal.
I think it's more likely Joe Hart's going to get lobbed from about 50 yards this season. But
I'm going to say Rio for player of the season. I think he's going to be outstanding now as the rest. I think he's going to light up not just this league, but Champions League. I think he's going to have a cracking Champions League. So that's my big prediction. Saturday, I think we'll win 3 or 4-0. I think we will cruise it against Jim Goodwin, who'll come and part the bus. But Ange Ball, as it says on the T-shirt, available from the penalty spot in Salt Street, will pay dividends, and we will crush them 3 or 4-0.
Yeah, I was going to say 4-1's my prediction, because I think Ramirez will score for them if he's fit and playing. And then, we'll just...
He is a decent striker, isn't he? Ramirez, I'm surprised they kept a hold of him. But there you go.
Yeah, I'll keep the positivity up in the scoreline. I think we'll win by a couple as well. I think they've signed a couple of decent players. Actually, the boys they've signed in from MTK over here are both decent. But you'd like to think they will be strong enough, and we'll win by a couple. And then, Hatate for Player of the Year. Good shout, Lawrence. I think he's been really impressive in pre-season. And let's go knockout football in one of the top 2 European competitions.
Listen, last 16 Champions League, if Gordon Strachan can do it with Stephen McManus and Gary Caldwell, I am more than confident Ange Postecoglou can do it. With Cameron Carter-Vickers, and I'm actually going to say Jens is going to become his partner. And that will be a long-term partnership at the back. And tell you what, if Jens starts, I fancy him to get a goal against Aberdeen at the weekend as well. Because we'll have a better threat from corners. I don't think Aberdeen will be used to pick him up. Yaris touched on it, they won't have a starting centre halves. I'm going to put at least 50 pence on that in the bookies.
Nice. Well, let's hope you have better luck next week than you did with your predictions today.
I generally do, mate, when it's league games. So
only get it right when it matters. That's the main thing.
As long as Celtic get it right when it matters, mate.
That's the one. Yes.
So, cracking show today, guys. Jared,
it's been good to put the 2 shows together for the match day today. Celtic Down Under podcast and ACSOM working together to cover the match. I loved it. It was great. So everyone subscribe to both our YouTube channel and ACSOM's. Follow everyone on Twitter, Facebook. Both got groups. get involved in all the social media for both Celtic Down Under and also with ACSOM. And let's work together because we're a great big Celtic family. And cheers to a good season ahead. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Nice one. Cheers. Hail, hail.